Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be going over the best gems in Diablo Immortal. So first off, I do want to mention that yes, the 5-star gems generally will be better than any of the other gems, and that's because the way that the game works is the resonance as well as combat rating on these higher star gems are just simply going to be higher, therefore they're going to give you more stats. For example, if we look at this 5-star blood-soaked jade, we're going to get a 100 resonance and as well as 24 combat rating, whereas the 2-star variant of the 5-star gem will only give us 30 and plus 12. So you can see the combat rating is doubled right there, which that makes a huge difference, and as well as resonance. If you guys want to know kind of how the resonance system works in the game, you have this thing called resonance, and that's going to increase the equipment base attributes. So if you've played Diablo 3, you know that your attributes actually apply, your damage. This is a very important stat. You can literally have one of these as far as like a paid player that has spent, thousands and thousands of dollars in the game. This resonance on one gem is like in the 500s, whereas like most people's are in like the 30s, 60s, or if you've upgraded some of your gems, like I have over here, you can see this one has 90. This number matters so much to the point where even if you cannot have the effect of the legendary gem, those numbers matter so much because that's going to give you a massive amount of HP as well as damage. So that's the main thing that's very important with these 5-star gems, and the reason why the 5-star gems are so much better than the other gems in the game. But every 5-star gem, when you get it to drop in the game, like if you get like a guaranteed 5-star gem after the 50 crests and you don't get one, that rolls anywhere from a number between 2 to 5. Now that number, obviously it matters quite a bit. You guys can see the difference. And on top of that, ranking up is a separate stat, and those will actually increase the green numbers, just so we have a reference of like understanding of the reason why, again, these gems are so powerful. But let's go ahead and go over the best gems now that that's kind of out of the way, because I feel like that's a very important stat to actually mention, because some people might be thinking, I like this, ability of, whatever gem. But the thing is that the 5-star gems are so powerful because of those two numbers that they give you. Again, the resonance as well as combat rating that they give you is like double or triple of what other gems would actually be. But keep in mind, the legendary effects do matter, and starting right off, I want to really quickly go over just the better 5-star gems, but I want to mainly focus in on the smaller tier gems because, most people, if they have the 5-star, you're going to put it in, it's just simply better just because of that. But we'll mainly focus on gems that everyone can obtain, because most people can obtain all of the 2-star gems through time. You can get them because you can actually craft them, as well as just use like your runes, and you'll probably get them as drops more commonly, obviously, than the 5-stars. But let's get started with the best 5-star gems really quick. So pretty much the best 5-star gem, if you're wondering, in the game is Blood-Soaked Jade. There's very few things that will give you movement speed in the game. Movement speed equals basically damage, because you're going to be able to hit your target more consistently. This is more so for PvP, but even in PvE, being able to move will let you dodge and reposition and then start attacking much faster. So in a sense, movement speed is kind of tied to DPS in a sense. And then on top of that, it also increases all of the damage that you deal. Obviously, this number gives you diminishing returns as your HP gets lower, and then you also take decreased damage once you're under half life at the start. But remember, all the numbers in green are actually going to be changed as you rank it up. But Blood-Soaked Jade, 100% one of the best ones. Another really, really fantastic 5-star is Phoenix Ashes. What this one does is it prevents you from fatal damage, and then it grants you an absorb shield. Really, really great stuff. It does have a very long cooldown, but remember, these numbers can be changed as you will upgrade them. So very fantastic gem for that. But the rest of the gems, they're all are fantastic. Seeping Bile is actually really great for PvP because you can actually slow them. And again, this number can actually change. Being slowed in PvP is a huge thing, so keep that in mind as well. Another great one to mention for PvE is actually Swenson's Haunting. When you are able to defeat an enemy, you get to summon a beast, and then you can even summon a dark dragon after you use something that makes something lose control. Another one to mention, though, is also Bottled Hope. The reason why is because it gives you cooldown reduction. If you guys have played Diablo 3, you know how valuable cooldown reduction is, and there's really not too many pieces of gear and things that give you massive amounts of cooldown reduction, so it's just great to have Bottled Hope. But yeah, those are like pretty much the 5-star gems, but again, these are really, really hard to come by, so again, we're going to mainly focus in on the small smaller tier gems over here, basically the 2 and under, because everyone can, obtain these. So check the pinned comment. I will also put timestamps for these because certain builds may or may not want some of these gems. But starting right off, I want to go over things that like every single build can actually get, and as well as they're pretty solid for most players in the very beginning. So basically, damage is a big deal with a lot of these gems, and the gem that's going to actually give you the most damage, and this is like where I get into like these are going to be good for like all builds. Berserker's Eye is actually really solid because it just increases all the damage you deal. You will take more damage, but that doesn't really matter too much, especially for PvE, because a lot of the mechanics that will do damage to you they come from essentially bosses, and if you're going to be like good at this game, you need to be able to not stand in a giant circle that's red. So most people can do that. So this one is going to give you a decent amount of damage. It also gives you crit hit chance, crit hit damage in Diablo. If you've played Diablo 3, you know how valuable that stat is. So Berserker Eye, I'd say, is great, fantastic gem. Again, this is for like all builds. Then moving into Everlasting Torment, this is another fantastic gem. This one actually is very easy to obtain as well. This is actually a 1-star, so it makes it so your crit hits inflict agony, dealing 10% of your base damage, and then you get a plus a flat amount of damage. And it ticks every second for 6 seconds. Now, the important thing with Everlasting Torment that other gems might not offer is it has an individual cooldown. So I'll explain that in a second here, but it says each enemy cannot be affected by this more often than once every 20 seconds. Now, a lot of the gems will have like their whole effect cannot activate every, let's say, 20 seconds. But with Everlasting Torment, it's each enemy has an individual application of that. You can also increase your attack speed. There's also a gem like that in Diablo 3, which is awesome. But yeah, you also get to increase your attack speed. Keep in mind, again, these numbers in green will be changed as you start upgrading the gem. But this is a great, fantastic gem for like most builds as well. Now, another one that is great is Power and Command. Really cool stuff. It almost reminds me of, if you've played Diablo 3, the Convention of Elements. However, it doesn't rotate between the elements, it rotates in between your basic attacks and then your attacks that would be like from a skill. So it rotates that every 9 seconds. Again, these will actually change as you start upgrading it. Right now, I have mine at rank 2, so you get 10.5% increased damage. And even if we look at it kind of at like 50% uptime, that's still 5.25% damage, which is higher than, again, most gems that you'll get in the game for trying to get like some sort of like bonus effect that has some sort of like condition that needs to be met. Like, for example, Chain Death, you have to hit multiple targets, and this is only a 4.5%, and you have to hit 3 targets with this. So this is why I really think that the other one's much better for most builds. Also wanted to mention really quick that most people can attain these gems 2 different ways. To get even the 2-star gems, what I've been doing is selling some of the gems that I don't need, and you can actually sell them on the marketplace and then use that platinum to actually get these gems. Specifically like 1 and 2-star gems, most people can obtain. However, if you do the rifts, you can actually gain runes, and if you go over to the left from the marketplace, there is a way to actually craft gems. I want to actually explain this because I think it's very important for this video as well. You can go to the Apprentice Jeweler, and as long as you keep slamming down some rifts, you will be able to get these runes, and you can actually craft a lot of these gems. So over on the left side, right under Manage, it says Craft. You can craft a lot of these gems. You can see you can get a lot of awesome gems by just crafting. This is actually how I got a lot of my gems. You can also craft a random legendary gem that can be anywhere from 1 to 5 stars. So if you are looking for a very specific one, you're going to be getting these runes. Now, you can get these runes by just doing rifts, but there's also a vendor over here that will let you actually get runes and kind of trade your runes. Also should mention, if you want to get gems, you can go to the Hills Trader, and every once in a while it will rotate. There will be a legendary gem in there as well. You can also get crests, which then let you put it inside of the rift, the Elder Rift, and then you can actually gain your runes through that. So that's a way that you can also obtain these gems. Just want to mention that real quick as well. So Fervent Fang is also really fantastic, kind of like Bane of the Stricken. So what it does is, you can see over here, make sure my face isn't blocking it. Each time you deal damage to an enemy, the enemy now takes 1% increased damage, and that can stack up to 10 times. Obviously, if you're fighting like bosses, this is why it's so powerful. And then once you get to rank 3, you get extra elite damage. So again, this one's really great overall for like doing bosses. But even if you're doing PvP, you're gonna actually hit the target multiple times. They've changed PvP, so it's not as one-shotty as it used to be during like beta and alpha. So this is why this gem is really fantastic for just dealing a lot of massive amount of damage over a set amount of time, because usually bosses are going to be things that take a lot longer to kill, just in general. But Fervent Fang is another really good gem for basically all builds. Now for PvP, there's only one gem that I think is really solid for PvP that a lot of people can have easy access to, and that is the Black Rose. So you can actually upgrade this, and the reason why it's so powerful, and it comes down to its other ability, where each time you attack, you have a 10% chance to summon vines that immobilize the attacker for 1 second. Now again, these numbers can be changed as you upgrade it. This is so good for PvP, especially if you are playing against someone that's melee. Once they get hit with that immobilize, it's great. Or even if a ranged character attacks you and you're playing melee, if they hit you and then they can't move, you just jump on them, they're going to be absolutely obliterated. But this is the only gem for specifically PvP that everyone will have access to. Remember, this is only for PvP. I would not use this for PvE unless you have no legendary gem slot and you're like, well, I got a Black Rose. Put in gems no matter what, but that's the only one specifically for it PvP. Now for PvE, these are the gems that I think are quite great. So Sleed's Weakening is really great for this. Just extra bonus damage. It's like Bane of the Powerful for Diablo 3. So you get increased damage for 60 seconds after you kill an elite monster. Again, all these numbers can change. I wouldn't really play this for PvP, but yeah, this is like PvE only. Now, the Hunger has actually been changed. I talked about this. It was like a really good PvP gem because it was the only way that you could actually get some sustain. They've actually changed this since the beta and alpha, so you heal for a base damage after you defeat an enemy versus like how it used to work. But nonetheless, this has a very long cooldown. Again, you'd have to upgrade it to change it. It also gives you increased attack speed after you defeat an enemy, so it's really only great for PvE. But yeah, for PvP, it's really not that great anymore. I still run it right now because I happen to have a lot of resonance. Like, I upgraded this gem because I do like it for PvE. It's nice to be able to sustain, especially for certain modes, like when you're collecting in the Shadow, where you're collecting the Essentia. This is great for that mode because you only have like one potion, right? So it's good for sustain for PvE. Now, as far as like the other like more niche gems for like very specific builds, in terms of like tanking, most of the items, like for example Mocking Lauder over here, where it's like your primary attack forces the non-elite monsters it hits to attack you, that's not really that necessary in the game unless you're trying to do very specific things in rifts with like pushing with a group. The reason why is because most of the things that will deal massive amounts of damage to you in the game are going to be from bosses anyways, and they're giant circles that you don't stand in, and it doesn't work against non-elite monsters, which is like the biggest thing, but also decreases all the damage you tank. If you want to be a tank build, these are kind of like the gems that are available to you. You have Mocking Lauder. You also have Battle Guard, which is a 2-star gem. Battle Guard makes it so you take decreased melee damage within 3 yards. It also gives you the ability to move and hinder. This is actually pretty nice to have. Again, this is more so for like tanky melee builds. And there's also Unity Crystal for this. This one, though, you'd have to have like a very specific group. Most of the time, for the most part, I'd say most of these tanking gems are kind of like worthless, but I wanted to at least give you guys some of like the best gems if you wanted to tank. And there's also Defiant. Let me see where this one is. Defiant Soul. There's also this one where every time you block, Crusader can get like increased block with a basic attack, which is kind of nice. But the problem with a lot of these abilities, it's they can't occur more often than once every 20 seconds. Remember how before I was saying like Everlasting Torment is so good because each enemy has an individual proc, but those are like the tanky gems. I would say most of the tanky gems are kind of like meh, but again, for niche builds, I'm going to offer some more things. Now, for a summoner, there are actually 2 decent gems for summoners. That's Follower's Burden. So it's going to be Follower's Burden. I think it's is it a 2? Yeah, here you go. So it makes it so you get to increase all the damage you deal for each summon up to 6%. Again, these numbers will change. And then at the higher rank, at rank 3, you get to decrease all damage taken by your summons by 1.5%. So it's just, again, great for like more of a niche build. And then Freedom and Devotion is another decent one. and this is going to make it so you get to increase the duration of your summons, and also at rank 3 you get to increase the damage of your summons. This is basically for Necromancer now, but maybe in the future when Druid comes out, technically other builds can summon things, but for the most part this is just like Necromancer, because it's like the only summoner class at the moment for the most part. But those would be those 2 gems for that class. Now, other great gems, these are more for stepping stones, because like sometimes in the very beginning you don't have really anything. Lightning, actually I don't even know if is it here? Lightning core. Okay, pretty sure most of you guys get this as like it's one of like the first gems that you'll get. So lightning core is actually not too bad in the very beginning, just because you don't have anything that's going to like increase your damage. The problem is that it cannot occur more often than once every 20 seconds, whereas again the other abilities, they have like individual cooldowns, like I mentioned before, on their abilities. Like let's say with the Everlasting Torment, where like again you have the individual one, but like it's not that bad for some burst in PvP if you do kind of want it. But overall in sustained damage, like for PvE, I mean it's a really long cooldown, but it's not that bad, because once you get it to rank 3 you get to increase all damage you deal for 3 seconds after you activate the effect. So this one could be like an okay stepping stone. Another okay stepping stone, like just as a great other gem, is the Car Arson's Invigoration. Increases the attack speed of your primary attack by, well, it starts off I believe at like 5%, but this could be an okay gem again as a stepping stone. I wouldn't consider it like in the best category. Again, the best category is just basically the 5-star gems, but on top of that, other niche gems that are great for other builds. These are like the best niche gems because it depends on what you're playing as well, right? And I want to give you guys the knowledge. So the other gems that I think have some potential over here are going to be the Trick Shot gem. So this is going to make it so your channeled skills consume energy slower, which is great, and you get to also decrease the damage that you take while using a channeled skill. There are a few different builds where like people will run like 2 things that are a channeled ability. Specifically, Strafe on Demon Hunter can be a very, very powerful thing for PvP, just because the way like the aiming works on the thing, it basically just auto aims to it, and it's great for that. So Trick Shot gem can be good for certain builds that can make use out of it, and then also Cutthroats can be a pretty decent one as well. It gives you increased crit hit chance when attacking from behind, so this could actually be good for PvP and PvE, especially for more ranged builds, because you can get behind and start attacking right real easy. Whereas with melee builds, some of the bosses are very big in the game and you're gonna have to walk all the way around. By the time you walk around, you might not be able to deal efficient damage, because during that walk time you're not dealing damage, where some other builds like Demon Hunter, you can just jump over while attacking, you're still doing damage, and then you get that increased crit. So this could be great as well, because crit hit chance is a little bit harder to get in this game versus like D3. And then also, if you're playing any range build, Bloody Reach is excellent. It's one of the best gems for just giving you more damage. It's like Zaystone's Vengeance, where the further you away from the enemy, the more damage that you will deal. And then on top of that, your attacks have a 0.3% chance to decrease enemy attack and movement speeds by 35%. So this is great for, again, ranged builds, especially in PvP. This is good. This is really good. So it's one of the best gems, especially for like a 2-star. I feel like this one is very, very solid. But those are the best gems. And again, there are some gems that I did not cover in the 5-star category that are just better literally by just equipping them. But I've mentioned, again, Bloodsoaked Jade is pretty much like the best gem in the game. But hopefully this gives you guys an idea of like the best gems in the game. But if you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. And if you want to see more new gems in the future, because there are new gems coming out into the game, this one was available during the beta, and it's called Frozen Heart. It's not available now, but I'm going to give you guys a little preview here. So this is one of the best gems in the game as well. So what it does is it gives you the ability to, when you take damage, you can activate an icy shield that absorbs massive amounts of damage. It has a 20-second like cooldown on it, but while you are shielded, enemy attacks against you have a 30% chance to be chilled. Really, really good stuff, especially for PvP. But like I said, thanks for tuning in for this video. But if you guys do want to see more Diablo Immortal content in the future, subscribe to the bell and you'll definitely see more very soon. But take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace!